Yay, we're live. Happy New Year, everybody. And David, welcome. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, had a lovely break, a lovely Christmas break.
Yeah, it's lovely. But everybody I talk to, all they're saying is, it seems like such a long time ago. So we're back. This is 2022, and you're gonna tell us all about what you do. So start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please, David.
So my name is David. I live just outside Brighton in the South Downs, near a town called Lewes. I'm a husband and a father. I've got 3 little kids. So a little boy who's nearly 2, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, 2 girls. And I have my own HR business and recruitment business. So you will see me cycling around the southeast of England, trying to get fit this year, and also working hard on my businesses.
Oh, well done. So when you say cycling around getting fit, is that something you wanted to do and you've never done it, or you do anyway? Where are we with the cycling?
Yeah, so no, I think this year is a big health push for me. I had some kind of injuries and things. I think we're in an age where people are realizing how important mental health is, and fitness is a big part of that. So I want to be moving and I want to be fit. So I've got a new office in Lewes, and I'll be cycling 20 minutes, mud coming out everywhere, but I will be fit. So that is my plan for this year, is to be cycling, getting fit and working hard.
Well done.
So I'm really excited about this year, and who knows what it has in store. I think everyone's trying to predict what their year will have. Maybe you usually do, and the last couple of years have shown us very difficult to predict what on earth is going to happen.
It's hard to plan, isn't it? You know, two years ago, where were we? Beginning of 2020, we had one of these once in a lifetime holidays, and we were sat in the airport coming back in early February, and everybody was wearing face masks, and because we'd been out on safari, we didn't really know what was going on. So I stopped and asked somebody and said, "Oh my goodness, did you not know?" I said, "Well, no, because we've been obviously in the outback." And who'd have thought that 2 years time we are still wearing masks and not able to go to do the things that we normally do? But we've all adapted. We've all adapted, and that's the thing, and we can change and we can make a difference. HR, hey, tell us all about that, because you're a little bit specialist, aren't you?
I'd like to think so. So what we do is, my background was big enterprise, working with big companies in HR and recruitment, and I wanted to set up my business to help professional services, highly professional services businesses, with their challenges around attracting and retaining talent. And we work with SMEs who, it might not be big enough to have an HR department. And if they do have an HR department, those people might not be a specialist to solve a particular issue. They might be more of a generalist HR. And we help SMEs who are burdened with issues related to employee performance and competing for talent. We offer HR consulting, recruitment, and employer branding expertise to these businesses. And the result of those services, what we aim for is to support our clients to optimize the way that they attract and look after their people, giving them time back to grow their business. So we take a hold of those kind of people challenges.
Yeah, no, and look, I'm talking to accountants and bookkeepers all the time, and the number one issue is finding the right team members. I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day. A young lady, she said she sunk £20,000 in recruitment fees last year, just hiring the wrong people. And so if she'd have worked with you, she'd still have those team members, and it wouldn't have been 20 grand, would it?
Well, I'd like to think so, but being an accountant, it's about risk. So we look to minimise the risk. We like to de-risk people's people practices, but there are no guarantees. You know, in recruitment, there's no 100% way to know whether Ashley is going to be brilliant at this job. There's no 100% guarantee.
Oh, come on. We know that
there isn't.
No, you're right.
Well,
You're right.
you know, it's a challenge, and working in this field, it's never-ending surprise of things that come up, and people are people. You know, there are no guarantees. But what we like to do is address the risk of dodgy people practices, high-risk recruitment processes. You know, move away from you actually hiring into your business and just sitting down and having a chat, no structure, liking someone and hiring them because you like them. You know, what other mechanisms can you have in place to help you recruit the people that are going to get you to where you want to go? You know, so it's interesting you said about sinking recruitment fees, and you know, that's it. If you pay a significant recruitment fee and then the person leaves after that rebate period with that recruitment consultant, then that's a real loss. So yeah, it's fraught, this area, but it's interesting and it's enjoyable. So, you know, coming back to who we help, it's SMEs, but we found a real niche within accountancy companies. And that started because one of my first clients was just an accountancy company. You know, I was doing some consulting, so we were helping them to not use recruitment consultants. We were wanting to put in place strategy and operational kind of changes so that they can recruit directly. And what I found was the experience that these guys had of recruitment consultants was just very poor. You know, the insight that they got from the recruitment consultants they were working with was poor, and yet the fee was significant. So, you know, that was you know, it's been an interesting learning curve. And what we now do is a lot of recruitment, trying to, you know, give a better service.
No, absolutely fantastic. So how long have you been working with accountants and bookkeepers then?
So I started working at EY. So that was, you know, my first move into HR in about 2005. I went into industry. I worked with AXA and Roche and in consulting. And then really from 2019, when I started up my business, we've been working with accountants in London, the Southeast. I'm in Brighton, which is why you might hear a siren. You might hear a siren go off in the background.
I thought someone was making a coffee.
yeah, no, and now kind of more broadly across the UK and Ireland. And we work a lot in the audit and account space.
No, fantastic. What challenges are you seeing bookkeepers and accountants having today, David?
So it is a really challenging time, and I think what's exciting for me is that, you know, the people challenges are on the agenda for lots of businesses. So, you know, I was always passionate about HR, and within the top 3 aims for big companies around the world, you know, Apple's and Google's is attracting the right people, keeping the right people. Yet I always felt HR was on the kind of fringe of, you know, a seat at the table of really like, you know, talk about where we want to get to where we want to go, and how can HR do that. And but the challenges at the moment are quite strong, and there's lots of them in the accountancy space and the people space. So, you know, competition for talent is driving up salaries. They're getting to, you know, just an unviable level. So an audit senior, for example, is getting to a point where, well, how much more can we pay these people? The cost of recruiting an audit senior, you know, with okay terms at the recruitment consultant, or, you know, investing in yourself, it's getting to a point where hiring costs and the cost of salaries are really a kind of, you know, a tipping point. So competition for talent and the costs associated with that is a major challenge. Skill shortages, you know, there aren't enough people out there studying different subjects. Tech and accounting is one of them. So it's an interesting space to find people that can do the job, but also fit the culture of the business. Like I mentioned earlier, the high costs and disappointing experiences using recruitment consultants, but also that disappointing experiences when you know you haven't got the right people on board, and it's a Sunday night and you're going in and you just know you haven't got the right people around you who aren't quite behaving or performing in a way that you would expect. And as a business owner, I have empathy for that kind of challenge. And as someone who's been also employed, it's just difficult generally working in an environment where you're not happy. A lot of the accountancy space I find exciting because they might not be naturally keen to sell themselves on LinkedIn, talk about their story, talk about what they're doing. And I think there's a real missed opportunity there for businesses to be selling themselves and effectively sharing their story. So not a clear employer value proposition, but also just the other pressures of working in the industry, regulatory compliance, change, and time pressures. These are sorts of challenges that my clients are struggling with and feel.
No, it's interesting. I got a question for you. This it's not on the list of questions. But as a LinkedIn trainer, I've been speaking with a few larger accountancy practices, and one of the things I say to them is, look, if you get your team doing the right things on LinkedIn, you will become more attractive to other accountants that are looking for work. Am I right saying that?
Definitely. I sympathise with people who aren't comfortable on LinkedIn. I'm still finding my voice, and I don't know if other people feel that, but how to promote, how to get that balance right. But I think coming on to kind of what is the priority for this year is competition for talent is really intense, and there are people on there sharing their stories, talking about their culture, talking about their work-life balance, and it's important to retain staff and also be promoting one's business. And it's a great way to just every now and then get a really hot lead of someone that's considering leaving, who might be happy, they might be performing, they're not necessarily out of a job. This is someone who just says, do you know what, I feel like the time is right to make a move. And if you as a business can promote something that's important to you, that's real, so your location, your lovely office, your culture, a value that's important to you, then you're getting the kind of exactly the right person that could end up staying and performing and delivering good customer service to your clients as well in a way that you want.
No, good answer.
So yes,
thank you.
I think it's really important.
I thought I was right, but to hear it from the horse's mouth is just brilliant. We have got a question, and when you're doing a show like this and someone comes on with a question, you love it, but then you realize they've got a lovely name, and I'm gonna how would you say that? I'm gonna say Ferdowsi, but I'm probably wrong. But anyway, thank you very much for coming on today. Great question. How do people get the seat at that table? As a senior accountant, we're underpaid in South Africa. How do we match the right talent with the right employer? So coming at it from another angle then, David, what's your answer to that question?
How do we match the right talent? I mean, the first thing I say is I've recruited some really good professionals from South Africa, Zimbabwe, and there's certain markets around the world where people are trained very well and their experiences are useful and attractive to the UK framework or the way that we work here. And one of those markets is South Africa. So I've recruited some great applicants from within communities, and we network within communities. So the Nepalese community, the South African community here in the UK, and get referrals. So it's a great way to find good people, and it's a great place to be. It's a good market, South Africa.
Cool.
How do we match the right talent with the right employer? I suppose it kind of a key point is understanding you as an individual. What are you about? What matters to you? I think we've all been in somewhere where we're not happy, and it's taken something like the COVID and this opportunity to reflect and think, who am I and what's important to me, to understand deeply my own values and where I'm at my best, what are my strengths, to understand why I wasn't happy in a particular environment. So positivity is something that's really important to me. And I now know why I was so unhappy in one environment that I was working in a company, because it was negative. There weren't people who were really positive. And that is something that's really important to me. So kind of as a company understanding what's important to you, but also as an individual, you taking ownership to understand what your values are and what the conditions where you can be at your best, and finding companies that match that.
I don't know if you've seen the next comment, but
no, I haven't seen any. I don't know who's watching or any comments.
I think we might have an answer here.
Yeah.
Totally describing how I feel I'm ready to leave and start my own firm.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go.
Been there, done that.
Revolution.
No, why not? Why not? Now's the time to do it. You don't have to put up with stuff that you're not happy with. This is something that you probably resonate and probably see an awful lot. Hi, Amina, how are you today? Happy New Year. Values is key, but so many of us haven't really written them down, let alone live them. And that is so true. What are your values? I don't know. Never written them down. Well, write them down and then start living them. And I think that's great, Amina. And so when you work with a company, you David, you speak to somebody in the company and find out what their values are. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could be just resetting what the values are. And if I'm working with an individual and they're career coaching, from a career coaching point of view, or just, what are their values? And an MD, I've been working with a business that's a small company, and setting up the values that are important to that MD. What are the core behaviours that they would like to see? And those are so important. I've worked in businesses where there were values and you kind of looked at it, you referenced them. We tried to fit the recruitment and selection and retaining of staff around values, but were they a bit lost and diluted? Possibly. Did everyone understand them or know what they were? No. But I mean, the advantage of working in smaller businesses, you really can set the pace with the MD, understand what's important to them and everyone in that business to live and breathe those values. Having my own company, I've seen how important they are to having a conversation with one of my team. If it's a really important conversation, quite a kind of intense conversation around performance, for example, I will link back what the value is of my business or me as an individual, why I don't quite understand why they've done a certain thing, and I will approach it through the value. And so I think they're really, really important and very helpful to getting where you want to go and getting through to people.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Right, so time's marching on. Are you all right for a couple more minutes?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
This is 15 minutes, but you've got some good points and there's some good questions coming in. So
how many people are watching? I can only see this link.
I can't see who's actually watching. Okay. I can only see people if they put a comment in.
Happy New Year, everyone.
So tell me, what is your top tip that accountants and bookkeepers can do right now?
I think coming back to the kind of values that you expect, understand what your values are, definitely, and understand what matters to you and what behaviours you want to be seeing around you as a managing partner or as a managing director. And I feel a kind of core one relates to that is this is a time to retain, not replace. If we look at the recruitment costs, time it takes to find people, we're in a market that's starved of talent. This is a time to try and retain people and replace. And I think it's really important for you as a business owner or you as an employee to really understand the mission and the vision of that business. Make sure the staff are clear on the mission and the vision of that business so everyone knows where they're going. I think the other thing that I really want to say is treat staff the way you treat your customers. This is a really difficult time. It's a great market. Also, there's lots going on, and there's lots of opportunity out there. But I find it odd when we treat a customer with gold and everything, roll out the carpet, and yet they put the phone down and treat staff completely differently. And it comes back to this value of like how do we behave? And I think there's something really important there about treating people, whether it's an employee or a customer, the same, living and breathing what's important to us.
I know of an accountant that at the end of every year they turn around and they say, right, okay, we're going to go through the clients. Let me know which clients you don't like working with. And they turn around and they, you know, each team member turns around and says, well, actually, I don't like working with Sally and I don't like working with John or whatever. And they, right, okay, but you do like working with them, so we'll keep them. But that one, it's all like, oh, don't like that one. Let's get rid of that client. One of the things that Emma is saying,
or reallocate the client.
Yeah, salary is always important, but are you seeing other factors become important, or even more important? What are they? And so my friend in South Africa, I'm not going to try and pronounce your name again, I'm sorry. Happiness is just as important, and so. Yeah,
but I think happiness comes down to individual needs. And so somebody was just saying about money, everyone's different. And I think we've all gone a bit deep over the last couple of years of what's important to us, and we all value different things. Number one, there was a survey done recently, number one most important thing for a job seeker. So if you're going to advertise a job, what's the most important thing is, you know, ultimately money. We've got mortgages, we've got bills, we've got to get to where we want to go. But there are other things, without a doubt. Number two, convenience, location. So this is a major challenge for maybe smaller practices that aren't in London, big fours, etc., who had a local office. Is that pull as attractive now as it used to be, where you can just work anywhere in Timbuktu, as long as you've got a laptop, and get your London salary? But, you know, convenience is really, really important, and location is important. And I think we're seeing that somewhat bounce back. But culture, the learning and the development, the day-to-day, all of these things are really, really important when you're advertising jobs or to job seekers to really understand. So, yeah, we are in an exciting time. I think the last thing, though, coming back to your point about top tips for accountants, bookkeepers, is, you know, I started my business to help as a consultant. We were offering advisory services on-site, off-site, around recruitment and retention. But a lot of our work through the pandemic and now is as a contingent recruiter or as a retained search partner. And I think it's a really important one is to not over-negotiate terms of business. And obviously, you know, my wife's Scottish. I love the idea of keeping your, you know, being aware of your pennies and pounds and things like that. But the reality is, you know, we work with businesses that, you know, negotiated hard, and we work at 15%. That's not going to give you a preferred service and preferred access to the best talent compared with you know, other companies out there that might be working at, say, 25%, 27.5% plus. You know, so I would really be aware of treating recruiting agents very poorly. Try and select good ones, but just as a natural tip is be aware of those terms of business. And yes, I think a lot of practices, accountants, are frustrated by the value that they get by working with recruitment consultants. But I would be cautious about over-negotiating those terms of business. It might not help you get to where you want to go.
Oh, good points. Good points. Look, we've run out of time. Is there anything else you want to add? And anything else that we've missed, or anything you want to say before we disappear, sir?
So we offer HR consulting services. These are scalable, in-sourced or outsourced HR services. We're passionate about individualized employee development. You know, we want to help businesses manage staffing issues with best practice. The second part of our recruitment service is that we offer retained search or contingent recruitment, and we source hard to find talent, and we resolve urgent and critical hiring challenges. And then the last service we have, which is employer branding, is the ticket to find people who are going to fit your culture. And it's a really, you know, it links in with the LinkedIn service that you offer, and that's how we connected. One of my clients said, you've got to meet this guy, Ashley. He's done some work with us, and that's how our relationships developed. And employer branding is a really important way for you to consistently get a message out there about your business, to help you with your recruitment marketing, and ultimately, you know, it's the recognition of your practice and your brand. And I think it's a really important service. So something that I'd be happy to talk to any one of the listeners out there if they have any questions on.
Fantastic. And they can get hold of you on LinkedIn, and they can find you through me. And at the end of this, you can go back into this show and you can actually put some contact details in there as well. Before we disappear, what do you make of the generational trend? Gen Z seems to have much less loyalty, longevity, and how to address and counter this. That is a great question. I'm afraid your name hasn't come up, LinkedIn user. If you want to put your name in, I'll give you a shout out. But yeah, that's a great question, isn't it? What are you finding about Gen Z?
Well, I think the generalization is that people won't stay as long. They're not as loyal. You know, and I think, you know, we talked about freelancing. Freelancers is quite massive now. I think people will understand the benefit of getting a higher daily rate, for example, and not being an permanent employee. And I think there's something interesting there around not wanting that psychological contract of being a permanent employee. So we are in an exciting time and a generational shift, but there are also, especially as accountants, in the accountancy world, people that value security, job security, stability. There are people that stay and that don't job hop. But I think it is about finding out what is important to that person that you are interviewing at that point. Looking again at the beginning of this year and understanding what are the goals of your team. What's important to them, what's happening in their life, you know, how can you help as a way to attract and retain, you know, people and avoid the costs of turnover and replacement.
No, cool, love that. Your friend in South Africa may be interested in relocating to the UK. So obviously you'll be able to find the perfect job there. And a show of appreciation. So that's great. Next week, I'm taking the day off, so I won't be doing a show next week, but we will be back a week after. Final question for you, sir. When you were at primary school, what did you want to do when you grew up?
Footballer, obviously.
You wanted to be a footballer.
I thought I was John Barnes. You know, I was a Liverpool fan. John Barnes was my hero. You know, I wanted to be a footballer, and that kind of interest in games and happiness and fun is still really deep in me now. It comes back to my fitness that I'm doing. I'm passionate about fitness this year because I want to be playing more football. But happiness, fun, and footballer is the answer to that.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Hey, David, thank you so much for coming on today. Absolutely lovely to catch up with you again. If anybody wants to get hold of David, you know where we are. And thank you very much indeed. You wanted to be an F1 driver. That's even cooler. Thank you so much for coming along and all your lovely comments. And have yourself an absolutely fantastic week, guys. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Ashley.